welcome everybody to the Global S&OP Community Show and Program. Today, first tell us where you're tuning in from, and today we have a very special guest and our friend here, our co-host and our great presenter, Ahmed Khaled. Tell us about our great
Thank you,
friend today joining
Thank
us.
you
Yes.
so much. Welcome to the second episode for Global S&OP Community. As Hamamzi said, let us know where are you from, please, in the comment itself. And just to re-stress on the same point like before, this is the second episode, and our mission is to build a global community around the world from supply chain, marketing, sales, trade marketing, and finance, where everyone can have a unique voice, where he will be able to share story, knowledge, struggles, and experience. Because we believe that everyone has a unique voice that should be heard.
Yes, and it's knowledge that you will not find in books.
In books at all.
Exactly.
At all. That's why we are building this amazing community. Yes. And from those experiences, we can benefit, Hamamsi and all our audience, they can benefit from building this community. And literally, this community will be able to change the whole world of S&OP. And today, as you speak, we have a very special guest, not only in the business, but also in life. He is a great storyteller. He's a great mentor. He's always, I see, he has always a unique perspective when it comes to take a decision inside a business. Yes, his experience is in finance, but I'm telling you, his business acumen is unbeatable. When it comes to supply chain, marketing, and trade marketing and sales, any decision regarding this inside the business. He's one of those leaders who is positively, seriously affected me personally. He taught me how to read an income statement and trigger all the opportunities inside the income statement or the profit and loss statement. He taught me how to use system thinking to take an assertive direction or decision inside the business. He's also my mentor in life. Can I ask you, Hamamsi, let's welcome Mr. Mohamed Mahmoud.
Hello, Mohamed Mahmoud, joining us from Canada, Toronto. Mohamed, how are you doing?
Hi. Good. Thank you guys very much.
How is everything in Canada? Tell us.
All good. We're getting finally good weather. It's getting warmer. Time to go outside and enjoy the nature here. Quite a build-up, Ahmed Khaled. That's actually putting me on the spot and raising the expectations to the ceiling. Thank you for that.
Mohamed, and Mohamed, you are worth this, and of course you have great experience and all. And let us welcome some of our guests. Mohamed Madani joining from Saudi Arabia. Hi, Mohamed. Pondraj from India. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Sama Eid from Jeddah.
Our friend Usama, thank you for being there.
Shadi Al-Jaki, our friend from Egypt. Thank you.
Thank you, Shadi.
Rabia also from Canada.
So it's in Toronto, huh? The same.
Aya Fikri, our friend from Egypt. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for tuning, Aya.
Sharif Al-Maghrabi from UAE.
Nice. It's your city now, Dubai.
Sayed Rizallah, thank you for joining us. Our great friend Osama Zaid here, of course. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yes, Salik Majid, thank you. Mohamed Mahmoud, where do you want us to start with? I want to ask you the question that I raised in my post. Is finance considered the enemy or the ally of the S&OP process? Because sometimes people will say finance will stop the orders. Finance, if people don't pay, if it's against the distributor agreement, so they stop the business. What do you think about that, and what's your comments about that? But please, without insulting me, because I know you don't like it.
No, I'm not that aggressive or annoying. Okay. Let me start first by taking one step back and give a little bit of my own perspective about the S&OP. S&OP process is something that is really unique and big. Just if you want to discuss what is S&OP, in my head, S&OP is like a product. Is like I am trying to deliver a product, or I am trying to deliver something, and in order to deliver that, any products that you have has two things. Has the raw material and packaging material that goes into manufacturing it, which is the input that is coming from all the teams. So there is an input that is coming from marketing about the long-term view and about the position in the market. There is an input that's coming from trade marketing about customers. There is an input from sales about activities and volumes. And finance, just like any other function, is an input area along with the supply chain. Supply chain has their input, finance has their input. The input of finance is one of the ingredients. S&OP will not be a product without the input from all the functions. I will have a faulty product if I ignore any of these outputs. I'm not saying that it's more important, it's just as important as everything else. And in order to come out with the product at the end of the day, there is the conversion, which is basically the whole interactions that is happening in S&OP between all the communities from marketing and all the functions. So simply S&OP is a living organization. Think about it like that. It's something that has a life of its own. It's something that have a brain of its own. It's something that is somehow is the heart of the business. This is the way I look at the S&OP, and this is the way we should think of S&OP. S&OP basically is where I throw everything and suddenly I get the package. The beauty of S&OP as well is that when you get the product, not every time the product is the same. There is always an improvement in the product. It's a continuous process of improvement. S&OP goes through iterations, and with the iterations, the product improved. I fixed something in the process. There is a feedback, a learning feedback that happens all the time in S&OP, which is what makes it unique. So that's S&OP. Now, the role of finance is in S&OP might not be clear to everyone, but let's put it this way. When we talked about the product, so imagine yourself cooking a meal and saying, I don't like too much salt, not adding the salt to the meal. You're going to throw it in the trash. You're not going to eat it, right?
Yes.
At the end of the day. You have to put it at the right level. You have to have the ingredients at the right level. What finance does is very important for the S&OP, because the process of S&OP is about sales and marketing and manufacturing the product and selling it. But what is the result of that process? Where am I heading with S&OP if I don't have finance? Finance basically puts on the glasses for you and make you see exactly where you're heading with your S&OP. Yeah. You might be having a perfect process, producing a product, selling it, doing the activities in the market, doing everything right. But guess what? The business is going down, and this business will shut down in 3 months to 1 year.
Amazing.
Yes. I like what you said.
Great analogy. Go on, Ahmed. It's great.
I love it because I know this challenge. Because as you speak, it's always a progress, and you have to develop the S&OP. And I think one of the fundamentals that, as you mentioned, Mohammed, it's all about people. Because people, if they're not willing to invest their time and understand what's going on, you will never go to the right place, or you will never achieve the business strategy itself. The question, and I want to ask our friends and our audience, please go ahead and start ask Mohammed and start ask us if you have anything in your mind. We need you to engage with us, speak about anything, any challenge in your job or any challenge in your company, and we will be able to give you our philosophy, inshallah, and we'll help you on that. But let me tell you something, Mohammed. Why companies they change the numbers? And I do believe that you stressed on a point, which is the finance. I would say he's the eye, and he can see everything. And most companies, they look into the volumes only, and even in demand planning, I would say from experience, they look into the volumes only. So I want, based on your experience, what are the advices that you can give it to them to change this perception? And I do believe that the mix of the product itself, it plays an important role here. Because I can sell too much volumes, but the mix itself, it will not satisfy the business strategy itself. What's your view on that, Mohammed?
Okay, so to understand if I try to understand the question that you're asking is, how can finance try to change the picture that it has now in the S&OP as the showstopper?
Exactly.
Okay. So the idea here, as I mentioned, finance is part of the process itself. Finance works with everyone else. A finance person can behave in so many different ways, but a good finance person will always sit there just like everybody else and understand the perspective of the business itself. So first of all, we need to agree and understand what is the strategy of the business. Am I looking for growth? Am I looking for profit? Am I looking for innovations? Is innovations my priority? Is working capital my priority, which is basically the working capital or the investment that I'm putting in the business? So we have to first of all understand, along with the finance and with the stakeholders, what is the purpose of the business. And finance has to be the person. At the end of the day, we have a lot of terminologies in business, right? S&OP and all this, and demand planning, and I don't know, activity planning, meeting, and all this, and constraints and all that. But guess what? We're selling soap, we're selling items, we're selling electronics, we're selling very simple stuff at the end of the day. This process is about what the market needs. I'm looking at what the market needs, I'm producing it, and what is happening in between. So at the end of the day, it's a simple process. I need to be, as a finance person, capable of explaining to people in simple terms what are the results of their decision. A good finance person, I would go to supply chain and I would talk to him, for example, about an issue that he has in his forecasting. If his volume, if his bias is bad, how is that going to impact the financials? It's going to impact the financials because one day I will end up either losing sales, or I will end up with write-offs in my P&L, and it doesn't matter if my business is successful. I will end up with an expired product that I will ending up throwing in the trash, losing the value of the business, and maybe compromising the business continuity at the end of the day.
100%.
As a finance, when I go to the salesperson and I discuss with him an activity, he wants to push volume, right? But in order to be able to push volume, he has to deliver at a certain point in time a top line and a profit at the end of the day. If I'm not there to explain to him that the results of what you're doing will deliver exactly this top line and this bottom line, and what you're doing can risk you in this future, or I can come to him with an opportunity cost and tell him, what about thinking in an alternative way? Or telling him, for example, that what you're doing, the activity that you're doing now will lead to a problem on the short term or long term, then I'm not doing my role right. And the only way for the partners not to consider me as an enemy is to be able to speak their language. I cannot be speaking German and they're speaking French. I cannot tell him the profit will be bad, or I cannot tell him I'm not delivering my margin. No, I have to explain to him what will happen to sales in the future if I don't do this. I will end up cutting my investment. When I cut my investment, you will end up losing volume. You will end up not delivering your target. So we have to be smart about how to communicate with people. Finance, at the end of the day, does that, but the question is how. The approach is what matters.
Yes.
True.
How,
Yes. And if the approach is aggressive, really, it makes finance as the enemy. So it depends on how you deal with people. I totally agree with you. Go ahead, Ahmed, before we take some questions. Go ahead.
Sure. I would say the same as you said, Hamam, because I love what Mohammed said, that how we are dealing and how you are conveying the message itself. Because I see in my experience that many people they don't care about what's happening. They care about what the shape of the P&L, how it looks like, but they don't care about the business partnering, how they think and they understand, and how they convey this message, because it kills the team spirit. So I love what say the how will define either you will be ally or enemy, which is the right thing.
Yeah. True. Let's take some questions, guys. We've got some questions running when we asked, and people were very responsive. I like that. Harshad, I think, is asking a good question. So if you allow me to take it, who's the real sponsor of S&OP? And it's my opinion. I will take also your opinions. In my opinion, the real sponsor of S&OP is the top management, is the MD. He is the one. He's the main driver. If he doesn't if it doesn't align with the vision of the company, if he doesn't push the S&OP in the first meetings and attend the first meetings and push everybody with the discipline of S&OP, it will not move. This is from my experience, like 10 or 12 years of experience. If top management is not involved, nobody will do the work. because everybody has his functional area, everybody has his management and his functional area. They will not take it serious, Harshad. This is from my point of view. Khaled, Mohamed Mahmoud, your
Yeah.
point of view on that.
I would say the same, Hamamsi. And again, if the top management or the executives, they are not willing to invest the time and they are just driven by a short-sighted targets, whatever it happens in the S&OP, it will never work. So it comes always, I believe that the change is coming from top down, not from bottom up. And as you said, I say yes, the same.
Yeah.
Great.
Is S&OP a fun process? It's not. It's painful. And it takes a lot of effort and time and meetings and nights and staying late at work to try to put the things in the right place. So the only way the S&OP will work is not only the head of the business, it's everyone at the top level of the business should be driving it. So it's not only the chairman of the organization. It has to be driven by the head of finance, head of marketing, head of sales. That's the only way it will work.
Great insights, my friends. I hope we answered your question, Harshad. Let's take another question from our great friend, Shay Lynch, the king of lean.
The king of lean, always.
Yes, that's why he will ask, what's your thoughts on lean finance? Go ahead. Who wants to take this question from Shay?
So lean finance is a bit challenging when it comes. I assume we're taking it to the context of the S&OP process. I understand that lean finance is like a small organization. If we have a small organization that is not big enough, sometimes that can be challenging. But sometimes having more resources can be challenging. You have to understand what is the complexity of the business that you're operating in terms of the number of SKUs that you're doing, the number of activities that you're doing. Finance is like, again, the finance input is like, it has to be the right ingredient level. It cannot be, you cannot have too many finance resources for a simple business, or you cannot have lean organization or less resources for a very complex business, because they're not going to be able to catch up. So you have to reach out to this right formula where you have the right number of people to handle the right number of SKUs that you have in the business and innovations and categories and all.
Yeah. Can I add something also into what Mohamed said? It's amazing what he said. And I believe also lean finance, Shay, you need to have the input of the other department like marketing, trade marketing, sales and supply chain, because I'll tell you the conflict most probably, and most people or most organizations, they don't see the long term, but they prefer only to take a decision on the short term. What I'm saying, like, you will see always a conflict in marketing. They need to have a massive portfolio of SKUs or products, and regardless what will happen. And yes, the sales, they will have the same also concept. They need to have all SKUs available at the same time, regardless what will happen. And guess what? You have a lot of challenges there, because you have a minimum acceptable shelf lifetime from the trade side and the distributor side. You have to take this into consideration as well. You have, for sure, forecast will never be right. And you could have a negative bias on some SKUs, which will increase your week's cover at distributor or at each node on the supply chain. So all of this, if you don't take care about it, and if you don't have, I would say, SKUs portfolio, and starting from the planogram, I'm talking about the consumer goods planogram, building it in the right way, you will end up with a higher provisions in your profit and loss P&L, because of the obsolete stocks and the stocks that it's below shelf lifetime, which will eventually hit your profit and loss in the long term. So lean finance, I do believe that you should have a 360 overview from each perspective. It
reminds me that we always champion supply chain and finance, like exercise of SKU rationalization, and you'll find marketing and sales. They will tell you, no, I don't want to discontinue this product. It's a strategic product. It's not strategic, man. Strategic, it's losing, or it's a negative ROI on the business, and then you get this feedback. So this really reminds me of these kinds of comments that we met, I think, all of us in business. We're having a lot of questions, of course, because we have our S&OP forecasting and finance guru. What are the different sources of finance? I think you can write books in this. Go ahead.
I'm trying to understand the question and the different sources of finance. I mean, financing the business.
Yeah,
Then
I think so.
It's probably the major ones or the known ones are either the owners itself, by the owner financing the business through his own money, or going through banking, if depending on the interest rate and the risk portfolio and your business, how much of your business is being operated on debt and how much of it is being operated on your own money. Also, there is a little bit of financing that happens with your suppliers and with your customers, because at the end of the day, you have certain credit terms with them. So sometimes you will be doing business with somebody else's money if you have the right model for your working capital. So in general, these are the areas where I would say, if I understand the question correctly, because finance, yeah.
Okay, if we can, Mohidol, he can reconfirm that.
Elaborate more on it. I think we have here also very good point from Nafisa Ahmadi. She's saying, should we just consider profitability? We may produce products with highest contribution margin, but we lose market share in other products. I think that's a good.
I love this question. Can I answer this question?
Please.
I believe that because you will have conflict everywhere, but I believe that the Bible of the business, it's always the business strategy itself.
Yes.
What do we need? This is what you need. I need profitability. Yeah, I will keep this. I'll keep the focus here. If I need the gross margin, it will be totally different. So I will go into another strategies. So it depends on the business strategy itself. You have conflict everywhere.
That's a perfect answer, Ahmed Khaled. So it depends at the end of the day on what is my mission and objective and what is my target for the year. That's one thing. Second thing, every item in my portfolio have a role to play. Some of them are to generate profit. Some of them are to generate share and drive share, and some of it is just to penetrate new segments in the market. So you have to be there is a role for every SKU to play. Let's just put it this way. And we cannot just say that we don't want to sell this SKU because of the margin or because of the share.
Great. Yeah, I totally agree with you, and that's why we map the SKUs or the brands, like the BCG matrix and all that, and the cash cows and the wannabes and all that, and the laggers, and we take decisions what we want to remove, what we want to add, what do we want to move to stars, and all that. So I like the question and love your comments, guys.
Thank
we
you.
have here our friend Mohamed Elbaz, of course, from Egypt. Great one. FMCG, of course. All of us worked in FMCGs. What are the P&L elements and how do you discuss it? Mohamed also long.
We can discuss that. We can make a session of 10 hours and 10 different meetings to discuss it.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. Yeah. I totally agree with you.
In general, it's about, if I put the general comments, it's about sales and what kind of cost that is incurred for that sales, whether it's cost to do the sales itself or the cost of goods sold. And then whatever any other investment that I do in terms of overheads, which is basically the people running the project, the buildings and everything. And then the taxes, I end up then with my final profit, which is what matters at the end. And we discuss it. Every line normally is owned by someone. So, for example, the cost of goods sold is owned mostly by supply chain because this is the manufacturing.
Oh.
The cost of sales is with sales and customer marketing or trade marketing. Cost of overheads and all that is with the people actually running the organization. They all own it. So basically, that's how it goes. Marketing owns, for example, any strategic investment that you have, for example, in advertising. So that's generally the main P&L elements, and this is how we discuss it. Finance is involved in each and every line, but as a support or to make sure that the right decisions are being taken on every line.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
True. That's a good answer, Mohammed. I don't think we can add to that with Mohammed here, the king of finance.
Yeah, sure.
Sharif Al-Maghrabi, do you see benefits of outsourcing procurement could help companies to reduce OPEX? What do you think of that? What's your take on that? Operation expenses, OPEX, yes. Tell us about it.
So in my opinion, and I'm the finance guy, you guys are the supply chain. You're supposed to have the final word.
Yes.
But in finance, the way to look at it is you need to understand what is your cost is like. You need to understand what will happen when you outsource. So sometimes it makes a lot of sense to outsource, because in order to save all the headache related to operational expenses or capital expenditure that you will have to do, because this is something complex, or somebody else is doing it better. If somebody is doing it better and can give you a better conversion cost or a better cost per ton for an item, then you might as well outsource it. But if you have the facilities to produce, sometimes it's also better to keep producing locally and not outsourcing, because the minute you take volume out, you end up with lower utilization, you end up with higher fixed costs, and you end up with higher cost per ton. So it depends on your demand. How much demand do you need? Do you have enough capacity or not? And it depends at your cost structure and utilization. All these you have to take into consideration, but there is no answer to this question that I can tell you right or wrong.
True, it totally depends on the business. Some businesses where it's critical, for example, like pharmaceuticals or something like that, it's better that you own this the area of procurement. You know the ingredients, you know the source of everything, the APIs, like the active pharmaceutical ingredient. So you should own the costing area. You should not, for example, outsource. So it totally depends on the industry. Khaled, what's your take on that?
I would add something for sure. What you're saying, Hamamsi and Muhammad, is perfect. I would add something also into that. Don't just be blinded away by reducing the cost, because sometimes when you compromise on the short term, you will it ends up with a big devastation for the business itself. Because I know many people, they took a decision based on reducing the cost because they were pushed by reducing to have savings in their margin itself, because they have a hard margin. So to an extent that they compromise, as you said, the quality and even the safety of their running the business. And it ends up by stopping the business continuity plans. It has a big devastation for a long time. So sometimes they just, I will have a saving like 70 bips in my margin, and the losses that I will counter in the top line sales, it's thousands and thousands because of the wrong decision. So taking such decisions just blindly without taking into consideration the risk management and the strategy of the business, I believe that it should be taken care. This is what
remember that from my marketing background, the consumer and the brand image, the brand index and the loyalty of the people for the brand. If it's hurt, if it's one time hurt, second time, they will not compromise. If you touch the quality and the customer service, you may lose a lot indefinite loss, and you cannot measure it.
Exactly. So you lose brand equity totally.
So Mohammed, here one for you. So one that thinks that finance is the enemy. Most of the time, finance uses their power, and they are less or never transparent. Why so?
I think this is more of a rumor. It's just sometimes finance find it a little bit difficult to explain their message and to explain what they're trying to do. Sometimes also there are certain decisions at the higher level that not everyone at the lower level know. And so that's why they might not be able actually to share this information and explain why they're taking that decision. But at the end of the day, it's not something that finance would like to do. It's not something that finance would like to do. But you have to understand that finance is the gatekeeper. At the end of the day, if the company does not deliver the financials because of a screw up from the finance function, that means that finance did not do their job.
Yeah.
So basically, they might seem that sometimes that they are never transparent because they're not able to explain it correctly, or they cannot actually tell you what is happening at a strategic level or at a higher level. But transparency is always the key. If you're confident in what you're doing, I normally like the finance, and I think that finance should have always the policy of open books. You have something, you want to challenge my numbers, come, the numbers are here. If I'm confident enough in what I'm doing.
This is the right attitude. Yes, this is the right attitude. Thank you, Mohammed. I don't have anything to add over.
We cannot add over this guy really. See, and here Pragmat, we had one who was saying finance is the enemy. Here he says truly that finance is the ally. See, the role of finance professionals has been changing. This is great comment, Prag. Thank you for sharing that. That's really true. From bookkeepers to accountants to financial analysts, and now to partners to business. Exactly. Amazing. I think I totally agree with that. Thank you, Pragmat, always joining and giving really good comments.
Yeah.
Kareem is saying executive leadership need to keep working on it until it becomes a culture, which is a very long-term but rewarding target. Great comment, Kareem. Thank you for joining us also from Egypt. Hassan Sakakini also joining us, saying good answer on driving S&OP from top to down. I would add that to maintain proper S&OP, it needs to be driven as a culture in the company.
Exactly.
After the initial great, amazing. Having a lot of amazing professionals.
Very good value.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, Hassan.
Mahmoud Rida is joining us also, our friend. How digital finance is influencing the S&OP process. What do you think? A great question. Take it, guys. Great session. Thank you, Mahmoud.
So
digital finance, yes.
Yeah. So in general, I will talk about how the digital is helping the S&OP process, and we can see that. And actually, Mahmoud is a leader in that area.
Yes.
So there are lots of tools that are coming now to support the S&OP process. S&OP process is not about running around with papers or running down with documents. So many tools are being introduced, and these tools interact with each other. And I've seen things, and I've seen different organizations and how things are done in different organizations. You have no idea about the complexity and what these tools can do. Dissect things and do things, and areas related to artificial intelligence going to the S&OP process and all that. It's just amazing how the process is evolving. S&OP process, as I mentioned, is a feedback process, or is a process of learning feedback, and that process grows. It's like seeing a child in front of you growing, and S&OP process is coming to a maturity level now, where we're seeing, actually, as I mentioned, artificial intelligence becoming part of it. So think about what's happening and what the digital is doing to the S&OP process. It's adding one more layer. So in S&OP process, there are so many layers for the control on what's going on. It's one layer coming from supply chain, one layer coming from demand, supply, finance comes on top, and all that. But imagine adding a layer of artificial intelligence, or adding a layer of tools talking to each other. This is the future. This is the future, guys. And digital is really supporting the S&OP process in terms of improving the process itself, and in terms of the output of the process. Now, instead of having the output of the process in a small Excel file or in a printed document, you have all these digital tools that shows you a dashboard where you can see the result of your S&OP. You can compare at the lowest level that you want to see with a click of a button. You don't need to go to finance and ask them what happened in the cash app, or to supply chain and tell them what happened to this, because you can see it all with a click of a button. So this is how digital is helping the S&OP process, and how they are actually combining to deliver this amazing result for any business.
Wow.
Totally agree. Amazing answer. I think it's fast decision making, as you're saying, and higher visibility in the process. Khaled, you wanted to say something? Go ahead, please.
I will add one thing based on experience on that point. So yes, everyone is going to the trend of digitization in the S&OP and each process in the business itself. But I believe it depends on the maturity itself of the organization. So you cannot digitalize anything, and you have a lack of capability or understanding for S&OP, and you digitize, and at the end of the day, when people they come, yes, I have this real time, and I have all of this kind of reconciliation, and they don't understand what's happening. So what will be the cost versus the benefits? That's why you will see most organizations, they're going for digitalization, but their people they don't understand anything about that. That's why you have to fix the fundamentals of the people understanding capability, the process itself, and then based on this maturity, you can go into digitalize anything in your process itself. This is my
Maturity, I totally agree with you, maturity, and as I always say, garbage in, garbage out. If you feed any system with garbage data, you'll get garbage output. You need to understand the business, you need to understand the trends, what's happening in the business, and then you will get the best out of it.
Yeah.
Great discussion, guys. We're having a lot of questions, so I apologize for some people. I cannot put all the comments. We have, I think, from our friend Renata. She's saying they believe that the CEO of the company should have finance background in order to understand what's going on in the company, or at least basic knowledge. I think it's a great question, and Renata's amazing. I think finance. She has a great finance background.
Sure, I know Renata, our friend. Yes. Let Mohamed Mahmoud, he will help in this.
You will be surprised sometimes with the level of knowledge of the CEOs about the finance in their organization and what's going on. Sometimes it even can be scarier to the finance manager or to his CFO, because sometimes the CEO knows more and can link numbers more, and sometimes it can be scary. But let me answer the question in a way. It depends. The CEO of the company, basically, there are different CEO styles. I've seen styles of CEOs who they are very much on top of the numbers. They are they're control freaks when it comes to the numbers. They know exactly where the numbers are going and where the numbers are coming, and they're working hand in hand with the finance in order to deliver that. There are other CEOs who are more driven by. Some other CEOs I've seen them in my life who are more like the innovative person. Yes. He's a person who's coming with these brilliant ideas about new products, about things to launch in the market and all that. They don't even care about the financials. They don't care about the financials. But the way things are fixed is that you have to have the right combination. If you have an innovative CEO who's not very much into the numbers, then at this time the role of the finance management or managing the financial becomes more with the finance person.
More critical. Yes.
It becomes more critical. Is it good to have basic financial knowledge? Definitely he should have. But if he doesn't, he can still be a successful CEO. It's a plus for him to do.
Yes.
Wow.
Khaled, we have a guru with us today. Would you have to add something? Do you want to add something?
I cannot add anything. I think Mohamed, he has covered it really seriously. Yes. He has nailed it, so I cannot add anything.
Thank you, Mohamed. Thank you, Renata. Of course, our friend. Thank you, Renata. Also, Ahmed Musa is great, of course, supply chain expert also. He's the idea of the devil, the backdoor devil.
See, this is what happens at the end. You can try to convince the people that you're good, but people always have it in mind that the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing people he doesn't exist.
Yes. So the reputation, you're carrying a legacy of bad reputation, Mohamed, unfortunately. Yes.
Sometimes it's helpful. I can tell you this, sometimes it's helpful, because sometimes you cannot have always the nice face. Sometimes you have to put your leg down and take decisions.
It's a good question. I think we have answered this at the beginning when we speak about the alliance or being an enemy. So, Ahmed, I hope we answered. Yes.
Mohamed Elbaz, how do you categorize the products from finance point of view, and how do you treat them? Example, we talk about cash cows and all that. Do you have any other categorization that you know about Mohamed or Khaled that you use other than the cash cows and the stars and all that?
It's a different game altogether, because as I mentioned, it's not even about the cash cows and all that. You have a strategy and you're trying to operationalize this strategy by converting the strategy into tactics and into the products on the ground. So what is your strategy here? Maybe your strategy is even to develop the market. I don't know. Remember, at a certain point in time, let's put it this way. At a certain point of time, nobody dreamed about having a phone where he can have a video call, or a phone that he can touch the screen and do all that. But an innovative person came and said, wow, actually people don't know what they want. I know exactly what they want. I'm going to drive them into that decision. I'm going to develop the market. A product can be to generate cash or to generate profit. A product can be to increase the market share, or a product can be to elevate the market to the next level, or to take it to the next level. A product that is a different category of the product that actually provides better value.
Yeah.
and better profit at the end of the day. So there is, I cannot say in general that there are I cannot name all the targets or all the products now on the call. If I think about it, I can come with 5, 6, 10 types of products that I can have. But in general, you have to understand that a product is there to serve a purpose. If it's not serving its purpose, then you need to review the product purpose and see if the purpose is the correct one, or are you doing something wrong?
Yeah. Totally agree on that. Mohammed, I think that you have nailed it. I'll just also summarize it in a very easy way. As Mohammed said, it's all about the business strategy itself. And based on this business strategy, you can categorize your end target. I would say if it's like profitability, you have to sort out the most profitable SKUs or products. And I see that the most challenge is cascading the business strategy or de-aggregating it into a lower level, whether it's category, whether it's going to format level or going on the SKU level. It comes the confusion from here. So firstly, you have to understand your business strategy and then cascade it into categories and then go de-aggregate into another level. Once you have this obvious in your business, so you can go into another level where you can sort out your products accordingly and see what is the possible potential strategies that you can attack or get it from the business itself or the market itself. See the market capacity, the price index, how it looks like, how much of promotions that you invest in it, all of this. And then, as Mohammed said, if it's fulfilling your purpose, you can go accordingly sorting out those SKUs or the products. And this way you will be your core SKUs that you can work on it. And it will take you to the right place where you will fulfill all the business strategies.
Great answer. Great, guys. Yeah, Mohammed, please. If you
one more piece, because Ahmed reminded me with it. But think about it this way. One product itself can have different strategies in different customers and different channels. So even the one product, it's not only about the strategy of the product, it's about the strategy of the product in the location where I'm selling it.
Yeah.
Amazing. True. Depends on the market. You can have the product for different strategies in different markets. You also reminded me of a very important point, the product life cycle. Where is the product in the life cycle, in the introduction phase, the growth phase? Is it declining? This kind of things, you must look at the market, and this kind of classification also is very important if we can add it to the lovely points that you put. So yes, that's great discussion, guys. We have also Osama Eid. I think everybody inside the organization should think like finance. We should have someone pro finance. Mohammed, at last.
It's actually happening. If you think about it, somehow finance is becoming more and more connected to the business, and they speak the language of the business. And at the same time, people in supply chain from the S&OP, because if you're not touched by the other partners in the S&OP process, then something is going wrong. Then because in every cycle you pick something up. You're not gonna come with the same unrealistic proposal every time to the S&OP, because at a certain point of time you will start realizing as a sales or supply chain person that this doesn't work because of financially it doesn't make sense. You're gonna pick a thing or two. And all the boundaries between the functions are somehow it's not cut solid. And this is why in some organizations you see some people from finance moving into supply chain, some people from supply chain moving into marketing, sales are moving to this. That's why you see this happening all the time, because we're wearing each other's hat all the time when we're sitting in these meetings. And this is where you think, or where you believe at the end of the day, that you reach to the right S&OP process and the right blend.
I told you that Mohammed is a great storyteller. Huh?
Yes, true. But I'll add also to this, Osama. Yes, cost reduction is very important, Osama. But as we said before, don't compromise quality. Make sure that the source that you get from is a trusted source. Make sure also that you reach the high level of the customer service level is very important, and the consumer satisfaction. Also put it in mind. It's very important. The consumer satisfaction. I think it's over cost reduction. If you tell me, Khaled, you have any take on that before we take another question?
No, I think Mohammed has nailed it already. I cannot add anything after that. Thank you.
Harshad here, Harshad, our friend. That's I think that's a good one. If I would ask on a S&OP dashboard how it should look like, and what do you think? I think he's talking about KPIs. So who will take some of the important KPIs on S&OP? Go ahead.
Yes. Can I speak on that?
Yes, please.
I love this because I believe it's all about the maturity of the leadership. So I categorize it into, I'll tell you what's in my mind. We can speak about it. So number one, it's forecast accuracy and forecast bias. Okay.
Yeah.
So this will allow you what are the categories or the de-aggregated SQ levels or the level of forecasting. Where are you from your sales or versus the target, the financial forecast or the forecast itself. So this is, I would say, from the forecast accuracy and forecast bias. The second one, it's the forecast variance, and I do believe that most people they don't measure this KPI into their consideration, because at the end of the day, this is I see it is the maturity of the leadership and even the maturity of the people. It will be implied inside this forecast variance. What do I mean here? Forecast variance. So you have cycle to cycle, because S&OP it's monthly cycle. So let's say I have this month, I have the forecast for the coming month. If I have 1 month lag, I have the coming month onward. Then after the actualization, I have the other month. It will be like that. So for instance, if I have 100, 100, 100, 100, let's say all for continuously. And at this point, when I have the second cycle, I will have it 10, 10, 10, 10. If I have already ordered and purchased, I would say from MRP or MPS or DRP, I have this. It will be somewhere in the pipeline itself, either in the upstream or downstream itself. What will happen if I have this kind of things? It will end up I have overstock, and I will not understand why it happens. So you have to understand if there is any drop in forecast instantaneously, you have to understand and raise the flag, because this will be a potential risk in the future. This is from the forecast variance. I would say also looking into the business waste itself. Yes, and for sure, if I'm talking about that, something you have to add it based on the business strategy itself. If it's the profitability by category, you have to stress on something. If you have, let's say, innovations, if you have something gross, it depends on the business strategy itself. But rather than this, I would say this is my point of view: forecast accuracy, forecast bias, forecast variance, business waste, whatever, anything that you have to add it into consideration to look into it into executive S&OP board meeting.
Let me add to this. I like, of course, the points. I will add the order time in full. The customer service level is very important that you look in it. The cash to cash cycle is very important. The inventory days, it's extremely important. Mohammed, you should add give us some points. Of course, I know you have the golden points with you.
No, but what you guys mentioned are the key things. So basically, the dashboard of the S&OP should give the numerical figure that shows me exactly, is my S&OP process driving the business correctly or wrongly. So basically, what you mentioned is basically what you want to see as a result of the S&OP.
Yeah,
beautiful. I hope we answered you.
I hope Harshad answered you, and even here Amina gave us an answer also.
From Tunisia. Our friend.
Great. Of course, it's she's saying a graph which represents the sales inputs, the demand planning, the agreed capacity, the max theoretical capacity, the budget yearly, the customer demand, and finally the S&OP agreed decision. Amina, very comprehensive answer, and thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you, Amina.
We have here, thank you, Amina, so much. We have here Dr. Lapsing. She was talking about the area of the product when we had answer. So she's a doctor in marketing. I think she was talking here about the 4 P's of marketing. That's a great point.
Product, promotion,
pricing in place. Thank you, Dr. Lapsing. Totally agree. Go, Ahmed. You wanted to say something?
I say, it's the fundamentals of the marketing techniques for sure. The OPs, pricing, product, promotions, placement. For sure, it should be. This is your fundamentals if it comes to the marketing techniques, for sure.
Great. Dr. Lapsing has another question as time is running up, but we'll take another like 2 questions or something. Don't you think that uncertainty is the big enemy of market volatility? As we're living in the world of uncertainty now, guys, and talking about the resilience and the supply chain resilience and having multiple sourcing and having nearshoring and all that. What's your thoughts about that?
Okay, I will put my thoughts in that for sure. Look, uncertainty is everywhere, and let's be honest in that. The uncertainty, maybe people start to pay attention for uncertainty once we've been attacked by pandemic. So
Yes.
everything, got struggled, and we had these effects of bullwhip effect in the supply chain, starting from the downstream to the upstream. But that's why, as you said, Hamamsi, it's all about the supply chain agility and the supply chain resilience. So let's come back to the fundamentals. That's why I said again, to kill anything that can kill the uncertainty, I would say 3 things. Number 1, it's the wastage, which is could be the lead time. How can you reduce the lead times inside it? Because this will allow you to respond quickly. Number 2, it's how can you reduce how can you find a way to compromise the shelf lifetime of the products itself, because this will help you. The other waste, the third one, which is I spoke always about it, which is the minimum order quantity or the minimum quantity. All of this. So all of this, I can categorize it all. It's the enemy for uncertainty. This uncertainty. So I hope that we answered your question, Dr. Lab.
Hamad, what do you think? You have something to add, or we take another question? I think it's more finance for Mohamed. How do you see the finance role from our friend Pragmet? Of course, is a great friend of many shows I'm in. He's from India and a great friend.
Wow.
How do you see the finance role in future with lots of technological developments, RPA solutions, cognitive analytics, which will take over the basic bookkeeping and finalization of accounts, including major part of financial analysis and planning?
Definitely. This is a good and important question, and the only solution and answer to that is escalating what finance does now. So basically, we're wasting a lot of time doing these activities that are repetitive and all that. And with the advancements of technology and having RPAs taking over such activities, it's time for the finance people to start developing new skills and moving on with the market and learning new things and trying to deliver more value, because now they can save more time and they can afford to spend more time looking at the higher level and trying to come up with better decisions. So yes, that always happens in all industries. There is always the development and there is always the automation that happens, that where you lose actually some people jobs because of it. But at the end of the day, in order to make yourself safe and in order to understand exactly how you can still add value to the business, is develop yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
Totally agree. Great answer, guys. And I think we are closing to finalizing our show today. We have greetings from Tanzania at the last few minutes. Thank you for joining us, and Dr. Lab saying thanks for special insights. Final words, gentlemen, about finance and about S&OP. What's your final takes, and give us like a final word, Khaled, through this discussion?
For sure, Hamamsi, I would say, guys, don't look, because I was in the same place, don't look into the supply chain or the S&OP from a volume perspective. You have to understand the drivers of the demand, how to influence the demand, and how to understand the financials, how to read P&L inside your category, because this will allow you to take the right decisions. Rather than this, I'm telling you, it will be you will work like pipeline. So whatever is coming in, it will be out, and whatever the sales will tell you to do, you will be able to put it. But if you don't have this knowledge, I'm telling you, you will have a crap and a challenge in each and every node in supply chain. So take care from the forecasting, financial forecasting. You have to understand the business strategy and how it's being aggregated, and tracking all of these things all the time.
Great, Mohamed. What's your final takes?
No, I enjoyed actually being here with you guys. It's a lot of fun to discuss such topics and to try to explain the finance aspect of it. And we're not really the enemy. We could be sometimes if we want to, but yeah, we're actually the nice people who, at the end of the day, want to make sure that the packaged product that we're trying to get as a result of the S&OP is a product that we can use. So
Yes.
that's in summary what I want to say.
Yes, I truly agree to finalize and to say also some words. Yes, I was kidding, of course, that finance is the enemy, but it's all about collaboration between different departments, marketing, sales, finance, supply chain. We should all work on one set of numbers agreed between everybody. And finance at the end is, like you said, it was a very nice point that it's the glasses that shows the final result. Are we profiting? Are we profiting or not? Are we losing? What's happening? What are the scenarios that we should run to mitigate the risk and get use of the opportunities? And yeah, that's what I wanted to add. And like we said, this is the knowledge that you'll not find in the books. I think our friend Mohamed Mahmoud here has great experience, and we really loved all the insights that came from you. And thank you for everyone who joined us. Thank you so much. Marcia Williams is saying great insights. Thank you so much,
Marcia. Just to remind our audience again, guys, thank you, Mohamed, for sure, for joining us. It's a pleasure to be with you today and the beautiful insights. Just to remind our audience today, so as we are here, our mission is to build a global S&OP community where everyone can share his experience, struggles, stories, and his knowledge accordingly. That's why we are asking you, if you have the possibility and if you can see yourself that you can fit and be with us in the live show, helping people, answering their questions in a specific topic that you can serve the S&OP, please contact us, either me and the Hamamsi, as we spoke, it's above on the right, our emails. Contact us directly and we'll be able to come to you so we can impact more people and share more stories that will change the world of S&OP. So we'll be waiting for you, and thank you so much for being there today. And just remember, S&OP knowledge, you will never find it in books.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Ahmed Khaled, and thank you, Mohamed, for joining us. It's all about sharing the knowledge and the experience, as Khaled said, and we're looking forward, waiting for your comments, and waiting for our next guest from your comments and the stories that you want to share. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mohamed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ahmed.
Thank you. Bye bye.